This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on with us, and that is Matt Grouchy of Dark Horse Tavern. How's it going, Matt?
It's going awesome, man. Thanks for having me on today.
Cool. Super happy to have you on the show. Had a chance to run into each other at the Williams Cafe in town and had a chance to briefly meet before the podcast, which doesn't always happen. So that was kind of unique.
It's the what a small world it is, right?
Yeah, it is.
I recognize those guys. I better go say hi.
Very cool, man. Well, I got a chance to understand your business a little bit from that brief conversation we had. But for our listeners and people who don't know you, why don't we dive right into it? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business?
So I am Matt, and I have Dark Horse Tavern. It's a mobile bartending business. We specialize in craft cocktails and mocktails. We really just take all the pressure of wedding planning, the bar side of things, off your hands. We not only have the cocktails and mocktails, but we do flatbread pizzas as well. So think like late night snack for your wedding, or even a corporate luncheon for your staff. If you want to do a staff appreciation, we come in with a bunch of mocktails, some pizzas, some lawn games, and we really just kind of create this really unique, fun atmosphere that, people are really relating to.
So you got me excited when you said lawn games. Could you maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
So I have a brother. He does woodworking, and we were doing an event. I was doing an event. I was like, it'd be great to have like people to mingle near the bar a bit more. So I was like, why don't we get some cornhole boards? So we made up some nice custom mini cornhole boards, and we've got two sets of them. So it's, beanbag tossing, having a beer, a cocktail in your hand, shooting just having a good time at a wedding. It's pretty fun.
That's definitely something we're incorporating. I think I briefly mentioned to you that we're getting, Julie and I are getting married in June of next year. Yep. And during the cocktail hour, that was something we incorporated. We have all of those games, so we'll be bringing those for people to be able to chill, listen to some music, have some drinks while we're all taking photos before we start the reception. So that is a badass idea.
And I found there's always kids at weddings. So you have to have the mocktails for the kids, give them something to do too. The lawn games is a perfect solution for keeping the kids busy.
So do you find certain venues they are restrictive? I haven't asked yet, so it's been on my radar because we had our conversation.
Yeah.
Some venues, I think they don't allow certain outside vendors. Do you come across that at all, or?
Right now, we just got open in July, so we've been staying away from all the public stuff right now. Venues that are owned by someone else. We stick with private property events.
Okay.
But moving forward, we are meeting with the health inspector. We're trying to get our toes wet in that industry because we would love to be at a big venue somewhere. So those are problems that we will arise, that we will be running into very soon. But for now, we're just doing the private events at your house, or if you have a private farm somewhere, we show up and take care of that.
Okay. Yeah, that's totally cool, especially if there's a nice private function, you can come and do your thing. What about corporate events? Let's elaborate on that a little bit more so people can kind of, I want to help them like stir up some ideas if somebody's thinking of, hey, maybe I do a corporate event, or maybe some people are thinking of just doing a weekend, they're having 12, 16 people over in their backyard hanging out. Can you do it indoors, outdoors?
So indoors, outdoors, we have the trailer, it's beautiful. So we always want people to use the trailer because it's, it is a wow factor. Once you see the trailer all set up, it's beautiful. We do have a 6-foot portable bar that we can bring indoors as well, though.
Nice.
A really nice bar, all oak. We did that ourselves. Really proud of that. So, because we know winter's coming, no one wants to be standing outside in the freezing cold. So how do we bring the party inside? So we do have the mobile bar. With the trailer, it's preferred. If there's a way to get the trailer set up, we will get space heaters. We will do whatever we can to make you comfortable because we want you to have that wow effect that the trailer brings to the event.
I remember we talked about the variety that you guys offer, where there's not really any choice that people have to make when it comes to wanting to get their favorite drink. And that was something I think you were priding yourself on. Maybe touch on that.
So that is, how many times have you gone to a wedding? I have wedding background. So I used to work weddings, and
oh yeah, okay.
The set menu was, you got vodka soda, Ryan Coke, rum and Coke, maybe a Caesar if you're lucky. And people would come up to the bar, they'd ask for a drink, mojito, something old fashioned. And it's like, we don't do that. Sorry, man, we don't have it. And myself on the receiving end, I've gone to weddings and asked for a drink, and it's like, we just don't do that stuff. And I really knew there was kind of a market there of how do you have a restaurant quality bar at a wedding? I don't want to do cans of beer. I want to do draft beer. So you go to a wedding, you want Stella on draft? Great. You tell me what you want. We've got Stella on draft now. Here you go. Your guests are all super happy. And they're not just getting the run-of-the-mill vodka soda drinks. They're getting, basil strawberry mojitos and, lavender blueberry drinks. They're getting some really cool cocktails that taste delicious. And, they've been handcrafted by me. I make my own syrups. We dehydrate our own fruit. All of our garnishes are we put a lot of care into what we're doing here.
Okay, yeah, that's something I didn't know about. I mean, that's what you want, right? When people are getting together, socializing, having some drinks, having fun is the utmost priority. And if you're not able to have, your drink of choice, it kind of dampens it a little bit because
we have
everything.
21 cocktails, and that's always changing too. With the seasonal menu, it's winter, and then now we're doing winter themed drinks. And let's say you have a drink you really like, and I've never heard of it before. I don't say, hey, man, I don't do that. I don't know how to make that. I say, yeah, man, of course we got that drink for you. And I figure out exactly how to make it perfectly. And I'll probably put a Dark Horse twist on it too, make it even better than what you think it is with a cool garnish, or maybe I'll add a different liqueur to it to make it really stand out. So there's really I don't say no. It's not in my vocabulary. It is whatever you want. Let's do this. And if you wanted 30 cocktails, we would make it work,
Yeah, I think anybody who's listening to the show is like, I like this bartender.
Yeah.
Doesn't say no.
So I've been bartending for 15 years. I was at Milestones for 8 years, the restaurant. So I, really honed in on my bartending abilities there as the closing bartender 5 nights a week. But before that, I had the wedding experience. I was doing bars for weddings. So I kind of did this with them. How do I, create that fast service that a restaurant needs, but also that really intimate attention to detail that a wedding needs? And that's what Dark Horse is. We're fast. You're getting really great cocktails. We try to keep away from lineups. We've got lots of staff on, but you're getting those drinks that usually take a long time, like a mojito. You're getting them in 30 seconds, and people are going, "Wow, how'd you whip that up so fast?" And it tastes so good. So it's been, yes, I'm a bartender, but there's also a mixology level to it too, like a chef behind the bar.
Yeah, no, very cool, man. Well, you kind of touched a little bit on it, so why don't we elaborate on that? That's the next question we'd like to ask on the show. It's always fascinating to have different types of individuals, different walks of life. People do different things in how they try to solve people's problems out there in the world, which is pretty much what everybody who comes on the show does, is help find a problem or find a solution to a problem. So we've talked a little bit about the here and the now, but what was your journey like leading up to what you're doing today?
Okay, so I was about 18 years old and just turned 19, and I found out I was going to be a very young father. And I called my dad to say, hey, here's the situation. And he said, why don't you come to I don't know if you've heard of this, called Oakwood Resort. It's in Grand Bend, Ontario.
Okay.
So he was working there as a general manager, and he said, why don't you come out here? We'll get you a bartending job. You'll make some good money, and we'll just go from there. And I fell in love with it right away. Bartending, setting up the bars, doing the weddings, all the wedding setup and stuff. I just kind of had a knack for it. And even just speaking with the bride and grooms, knowing it was such an important day and being able to make that happen, there was a lot of passion in there. So I did that for many years, ended up leaving. It was about 8 years I was there. And ended up leaving, went to Milestones, the restaurant. It was a totally change of scenery. I wanted that though, because I'd kind of peaked at the weddings. I've been doing it for so long. I was like, there's got to be something more I can be doing here. So I went to the restaurant, and I really just focused on the bartending and got really good at the bartending. And again, had a new passion for that. It wasn't so much as, so important. It wasn't a wedding day, but I treated it very important that the drinks are going to have a wow factor to them. There were some shifts I would bring in my own dehydrated fruit. It wasn't even a drink on the menu. People were coming in. I had my regulars, and I'm a Newfie background. I don't know if I told you this, but everyone comes in, and you're either my friend, my love, my dear, you're getting a hug, and you sit down, and I'm basically telling you what you're going to get today. So I make a custom cocktail for you, and I realized I was like, I've got a knack for this. I love talking to people. I love making people happy through food and drink. And I'm working for someone else here at the restaurant, and it's fine, but I really think I can do this on my own. And that's it. We picked up the horse trailer and started renovating it. We did all the renovations ourselves. And, I had a vision for what I wanted it to be, combining that wedding and restaurant experience, and Dark Horse was born.
That's a very cool story, man. You can definitely see the passion behind what you do. It's nice to see. So I'm curious about this because I'd never been a bartender before. I can fix up some drinks and I enjoy doing that stuff, but never, did it on kind of like a professional level, so to speak. But like, are there any like myths, any misconceptions that are out there when it comes to your line of work?
Okay, so this one kind of hits home for me because I love going out to eat and drink. It's like I love food, I love drinks, and the restaurant's charging $13.50 to $20 for a cocktail now. It's so unnecessary. I understand there's overheads and I appreciate it. There's a business, they're running a business, they've got all that stuff, but you can still make really good money off charging $7 to $10 for a cocktail. And to take that even a step further, times are tough. Everyone's going through it right now. You can make a really great cocktail at home. You don't need to go to a restaurant to get that, that cocktail that you're after. There's so many tutorials online. There's so many videos on Instagram. Go buy yourself a bottle. Go buy some mixes. You're going to be able to get 100 drinks out of that bottle, and you're going to save yourself a ton of money. You do not need to spend the $20 per cocktail that I think the world is kind of normalized, which I think is crazy.
I think everybody thinks it's crazy. I mean, we were at an event not too long ago, and you're $17 for a 9-ounce glass of wine.
I'm not knocking it. I get it, but it's like you get 2 drinks, you get an app, and you're like, what the heck, honey? We're at $100 plus tip and tax. You're like, I can go home, and I think people should learn how to make some drinks at home. Get yourself a little shaker tin. Get yourself a little bar kit. They're not that expensive, $30, and you can really have some fun with it at home. Order HelloFresh, get the good food box, you and your wife make a meal together, make some cocktails together. And, you do not need to spend the $100, $150 for a restaurant experience when you can do it at home. Or something like Dark Horse can come and give you that experience for half the price.
Yeah. Back in COVID, they had this word that it seems to have dulled up or people don't use it anymore, which is price gouging. And it's clearly happening out there. I'm sure a lot of people are listening probably know what I'm talking about, but it's now the norm. Inflation went up, so we have the excuse to be able to do that. So love what you're doing there, where people can still be able to enjoy that, right? Money's a little bit more tighter nowadays than it was, a little bit more in the past, and be able to afford to have somebody come in and enjoy their time with company. Especially if they don't know how to make drinks yet. I'm sure. Do you ever like teach people when you're like making drinks, if they're super curious, and be like, how do you make this, or like key tips and tricks, stuff like that?
Totally. So like I said, we dehydrate our own fruit, and you get your drink, and it's just a nice little garnish. It has a wow factor to it. And we get people all the time asking, hey, can I get some? Like, can you give me some of those? So we actually just started making our own dehydrated fruit bags. We're going to start selling those because there is a market for it. People are into that. And we're going to start doing recipe cards as well. Just a little tiny recipe card. When you go to the market and you order a Dark Horse signature drink, like an orange creamsicle or a Wicked Game, these are cocktail names that we have. And you may not know how to replicate it, but I'm going to give you a recipe card with the cocktail. And now you can bring that home, and you've got the card there. There's going to be a tutorial video. You scan the QR code. There's me making the drink in front of you. So we really want to bring the cocktail experience to your house. That's very important to us.
That is a really, really cool idea to do that. Especially, like, I've had countless times I've gone out, and I've recently, well, not recently, but in the past maybe 4 or 5 years, I've gotten more into old fashions. I don't have them all the time, but when I'm out and about, I'll definitely have one. And then it's hit and miss, right? Sometimes they smoke it, sometimes they don't have to add the blackcurrant in there. Yep. The peel or the twist is half the size it should be, and sometimes the booze is a little bit too strong, and then you're suffering your way through it. Yep. So getting one of those that we're like, oh my god, that is awesome, and then getting a card, for me, that would be something I would be monster interested in.
While we're on it, the key to a good old fashioned is a little extra cane syrup. Make it a little more sweet than you think you should, because that liquor is really going to bite back at you. And I've had it so many times where I get one and I'm like, I'm just drinking 2 shots of whiskey here. What am I doing? I need a bit of flavor to go with this. So try that next time you make one. Just a little extra syrup.
Where'd your palate come from
Just
this stuff?
years of drinking. Can I say that? No, yeah. Just trying the product. If the drink was on the menu, I wanted to make sure I had at least drank in one or two of them to know what it's going to taste like. When you're ordering dinner or you're ordering a pizza from me, I want to say, hey, that's a really sweet pizza. There's honey on there. There's some goat cheese. Maybe get this drink to balance that out. So I think a lot of people, especially in the restaurant industry, I don't know if you've had this, where you ask, what would you recommend? And they don't even know. They haven't tasted the food. They haven't tasted the drinks. You say, hey, what does this drink taste like? And they're like, oh, I don't drink. And it's fine. I'm like, you got to at least, BS your way through that and let me know what I'm getting, because better is to try the drink and know what it tastes like so you can offer it. So that for me, it's just been years of just playing with flavors, putting things together that work.
So let's talk about the food component, because we've been talking about the drinks and stuff. You mentioned, at weddings, like late night, stuff like that. Whether it's a wedding or if it's at a private function, or if I'm just having, 8 of my personal friends over. Actually, sidebar here, Sean's going off on a tangent.
Yeah.
I want to do like a gourmet club with like some of our friends, or and putting it together. So there'd be three other couples. There'd be 8 of us. Pick one weekend a month, and I think this is something I think you and I could partner on, where I just wow the crap out of them.
Yep.
And
we've got that beautiful portable bar. We bring that in. We serve espresso martinis. I have real glassware too. So, I have the plastic glassware for weddings, but I come in with the real Collins glasses, martini glasses, Moscow Mule, tin cups, like whatever, copper cups. So that is a wow factor too. When you're drinking the drink out of the proper glassware, it adds another wow effect. So with Dark Horse, there's no party that's too small. So if there's a party of 10 people, we make it work. We want to wow everybody, whether it's 10 people or 100 people, 200 people. There's nothing too big, too small for us to do.
So maybe not in this particular instance, because the gourmet club, we can't cheat out and have somebody serve the food. You'll lose points for that, because we will have a rating system from how the vibe is to the presentation. They're charged with dressing people up, so they got to buy the attire for people, because they're going to theme it. It's going to be around a certain theme. But if I'm not doing that and I'm supplying, or we collectively would be supplying for food for my group, because maybe I don't want to cook, whatever the case is. How elaborate do you get? What kind of stuff? Is it more on the simple side of things? Like, maybe let's elaborate on this a bit.
So we started simple, actually, before we did the pizzas. And you think of pizza simple, but it wasn't. We played with different doughs. I was in the trailer. I'm trying to throw pizza dough, and I'm covered in cornmeal and flour. I'm trying to make a mojito at the same time. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. So we had to actually change our whole pizza plan from dough to flatbread pizza. And it was the best transition we ever made. There's no mess. It tastes delicious. And the key to that, actually, I'm going to let the listeners know a secret. Anytime you're dealing with flatbread, add some butter to the bottom before you throw it in the oven or wherever you're cooking it. Some butter on the bottom will crisp it right up, and it tastes amazing. So something simple like that, it wasn't that simple. It needed a bit more attention to detail. And we really figured that out. But before even we got into the pizzas, when we were doing house parties, we would just do finger foods. I had a little chafing dish. I'd go to Costco. I'd buy some, pickles and some stuff like that. And it's like, let's just make some finger foods, some meatballs. And that's how it started. And we've kind of elevated into the flatbread pizzas and charcuterie. That has been a huge thing for us as well, because people love charcuterie. You get all the meats. We do the rose petal with the meat. We do all the cheeses. We put all of our dehydrated garnishes on the board. People are, for Christmas parties, people are loving that. And there's a luxury, not that charcuterie is luxury, but it does have a
bougie aspect.
It does have a bougie aspect to it. You have 5 different olives and gherkin pickles, dill pickles. It's fun. So we, if there's something you really loved that you were like, hey, we've even had it where we've gone to a wedding and they say, hey, we need you to cook up these, I don't even know what it was, like a sausage in a bun type thing. We need you to cook these. And I had the ovens. I was like, all right, just give them to me and I'll cook them all up for you. And so if there's something that you really love as a client, we will say, hey, we can do that for you. We don't mind doing pulled pork sandwiches, pulled pork sliders. It's just another aspect of the business that doesn't get a huge amount of focus because we have the pizzas, but customizing the food menu is still something that we will, of course, do.
Yeah. In today's day and age, there's a lot more understanding and a lot more variety in terms of the way like people eat. There's a lot of different kind of lifestyles. I'm not going to use the word diet. That's not the right word. Like lifestyles of how people eat. Do you guys cater to those as well? Like, my significant others more on the vegetarian side of things.
Totally. Every event we do, do you have gluten-free options? Do you have vegan options? And we weren't offering them for the last few months because we just didn't know if we could handle that. But now we do. We've got the cauliflower crust pizza. We do one without meat on it. So it's like, okay, we got this sauce doesn't have anything on here. There's no meat, anything in there. There's no gluten on this one. So we do offer the vegan and gluten-free options. And they still taste really good too. That was important. We don't want to put our name on something that didn't taste really good either. Even though it's gluten-free, you can still make it taste good with the right sauce and the right gluten-free or the right vegan cheeses and stuff like that. And from a cost point, it is a bit more expensive to do that, but we don't have to make too many of them. So we don't let it affect our pricing. It's like, hey, if you need that stuff, great. We're going to bring 10 of those pizzas with us. And it's just the way it is. We just, we're not going to make an extra $2 off the pizza, because we understand it's a dietary restriction. It's not your fault. It's life. Everyone has it now.
Yeah. Yeah. My fiance and daughter, they some vegan with certain things. There's certain things that they'll like eggs, they'll still have eggs, stuff like that. So, but they like the cheese component to that is, so they'll cheat a little bit more on the cheese, even though it's not the best, but they tried the vegan mac and cheese. I think KD came out with their brand recently. Probably the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life.
It has to taste good. You can't just say it's vegan and gluten free and people are going to eat it. I don't want cardboard as a bun. I want.
That's what it tasted like.
Exactly. So we really, if it doesn't taste good, it's not going on our menu. Same with the, back to the cocktails, because we do pride ourselves in them. The syrups and stuff I make all myself, and I'm tasting every syrup before it's going, not right before it goes in your drink, but when I'm batching this stuff up, I'm a chef back here. I'm measuring things out. I got everything's labeled. It's a production back here.
No, very cool, man. So as business owners, we're really passionate about what we do. So when we work, it's not really work. Like the business is just a part of us. It's not separate.
Yep.
And we tend to be able to put in more hours because it doesn't feel like work because we love it so much. But there is that, I don't call it a balance because the balance is perfectly equal. We tend to work more than we play. So I like to say it's a harmony, finding that right tune that sings the best, that resonates with the ears the most. So when you're not working on your business or in your business, what does Matt like to do for fun?
So I have 4 children. I've got a fiance. We're going to be married next year.
Nice.
Keep us so busy. We've got a 14-year-old, 10-year-old, 6-year-old, and 4-year-old. So you can imagine, it's like a zoo here. We did just get a new puppy, Stella. If anyone follows the Instagram, you'll see snaps of Stella here and there. So we've got a 5-month-old pug. So really just getting that quality family time in when my wife's not working, when I'm not working, going for walks to the park. I feel like we spend so much time at the park with 4 kids. It's, going on nature walks, but it is really hard to separate business to the casualness of, life outside the business. When I'm out and about, I'm constantly thinking of the business. It's really hard to turn that off, actually. And my wife's always reminding me, like, everything doesn't need to be Dark Horse, honey. And I'm like, I know. We're at Walmart and I see pork on sale. I'm like, maybe we could do pulled pork sliders this week, or it just doesn't stop. But the quality family time is the most important, and that's of course that's what we're doing it for. That's why we're running the business, is to support our families, right? So getting that good time with them, that's the most fun we can have.
100%. What does your wife do for a living?
She actually works with Heart with Wings. It's an end-of-life veterinary clinic in Barrie here.
Okay, yeah.
So when it's time to say goodbye to your long-term friend that is your pet, they just take care of it. They come to the house, and so it's a very emotional industry for sure. So I make sure there's always a cocktail on hand for her when she gets home, or a glass of wine.
What's her go-to cocktail?
Dark Horse Classic Orange Creamsicle. It's actually everybody's go-to. Once you have an orange creamsicle from Dark Horse, you're going to always be craving that one cocktail that you had that one time, We'll
definitely have to try that one. Do you have a go-to cocktail?
You know what? I'm a whiskey sour guy. I've always had kind of a sweeter palate. Even when I order beer, we're big on Flying Monkey. Um, and they've got like a sour beer, a blueberry sour, and it's just, a beer's fine. I'll drink a Michelob Ultra, I'll drink a Stella, but I just have this constant sweet tooth always. So if I get a little bit of sweetness in my beer or my cocktail, I'm gonna go that route for sure.
No, very, very cool, man.
And you old fashioned? Is that or what's your like on a old fashioned here and there? What's your go to?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a whiskey sour since I think I was in university, but I did like drinking those back then. For sure, old fashioned. And you mentioned Moscow Mule. I've had a couple of good ones. Those have been hit and miss. Whether or not it's actually in the copper cup, sometimes it's just a copper look on the outside, but it's really not copper on the inside, and the glass really does make the difference.
It does. It's funny. On a side note here with whiskey sours, I've gone to so many restaurants. I shouldn't say so many, but you go to a restaurant, you get a whiskey sour for $15, and it's like battery acid. You're like, what am I drinking? Did you just put lime juice in my cup? Like, so it's important to, for us anyways, you're getting the drink that you're expecting, flavor that's even better than what you're expecting.
Yeah, 100%. So I add a couple cocktails, and then if we're having a long night, we're playing games, or we're socializing for an extended period of time where I'm going to have more than a few. I probably wouldn't do more than too many of those, and then I just go to like vodka soda.
Yeah, totally, and that's a classic. Throw a couple limes in there. That's all you need.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Yeah, actually, and that's a lot of the reason where the pizza came from. Was we got a family of 6. Pizza's a go-to in this house, so it's kind of like margaritas, pizzas, mojitos, pizza goes with everything, So that's why we had to offer some food source, and that's kind of where the pizza came from too. Was what does everyone like? What's everyone going to get jazzed up about? And it's late night snack at a wedding. It's 10 o'clock at night. Everyone wants pizza, so.
Yeah, that's still something we got to figure out for our wedding is the late night. They allow only so many caterers.
Mm-hmm.
And so the caterers don't even do the late night. I don't even know if any of the ones that they have actually even offer the late night. So we're stuck on trying to figure out. I think 1 or 2 caterers offered it, but it wasn't appetizing. Let's put it that way for what they offered. So we still have
to be the right price and the right appeal for what you're after.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind even like just, doing a McDonald's thing, but you got 70 to 100 people there and you're like, okay,
a lot of double cheeseburgers.
What's the logistics behind it? You could just imagine that order coming. Hey, we'd like 74 Big Macs.
Well, burger guy at McDonald's doesn't understand there's a wedding on the line,
Yeah. I don't know if I'd put the faith in their hands. Hell, I'd probably cook if I could, but I've been shunned from doing any of that sort. We both love to cook, and we would totally do it, but like, no, it's your night. You're not supposed to do this. Right. No, we're not allowed.
Gracie and I, we joke that I'm going to be bartending on my wedding night because I'm not going to trust anyone else to do it. I'm just going to, So
you have to get one of your staff members to get in there for you.
Exactly.
Okay, so we walk this path of life, right? Everybody picks their own path. That's the path that we feel is the best for us, and we trudge down the line and life moves forward. We keep moving forward with that. And then life kind of gets in the way sometimes. It'll throw things at us, hardships, life challenges. Growth comes from being uncomfortable. Some people experience it a little bit worse than others. Tragedies happen. It's just a part of what it is. And I've always been impressed and fascinated with human beings, right? Just our ability to be able to overcome, these challenges in our life. And a lot of it's mindset, like seeing the glass half full, hanging on to certain things, whether that's hope.
We're resilient,
resiliency, right? All that stuff. Silver linings, right? Always, if you're able to find a silver lining into something, it really helps to ease some of that and move forward. So I wanted to ask if you've ever experienced a hardship, a life challenge that maybe you overcame, maybe it made you better, maybe it made you stronger, maybe you took some silver linings from it.
So with this whole journey, one thing I've learned is things are never going to go the way you want them to go. You can build it up in your head that tomorrow this is getting done, and the next day this is getting done, and it's not going to work that way. You need to be persistent. You need to have patience, because anything that can go wrong will go wrong. There's an old saying, I'm sure you heard this, you make plans and God laughs at you, and so many times through this journey, setback after setback after setback. And it was discouraging. So many times I wanted to throw in the towel and just say, I can't do this anymore. Is this even worth it? I just quit my job to do this, and we're not even off the ground yet. So, going through life savings, and it's like, I don't know if this is going to work, but you stay persistent. You keep going. You know that there is a silver lining. You got delayed for a reason. This guy couldn't get it painted because this guy's going to paint me even better. In anything, it didn't happen because something better is coming down the line. In the moment, it's really hard to think that way, but if you can, twist your mind a little bit and try to find the silver lining of things, and just keep pushing through, it'll get better. And that's what I've learned too. Don't be discouraged by the delays, by the things not going your way. It just keep going, and it'll work out.
Yeah, I call it the phase of suck. It just sucks for a little bit, but eventually we crawl out of that. Sometimes it's a really, really small phase of suck. Sometimes it's a lot longer, but eventually we move past these things and trying to pull silver linings from, what did I learn there, and growing from that. Growth comes from being uncomfortable. Just had a conversation with somebody who's very young, who is going through some things. And I said, you're uncomfortable, and that's okay to be uncomfortable, because you're going to learn and you're going to grow. And the next time you have to do something like this, you'll remember that time that you did it.
Yep.
And then it'll be easier to just move from that. If you're going to fail forward, keep getting back up, keep doing it. Quitting is not an option.
You know what? Laughing through it helps. I've learned that, I'm always trying to be happy. Instead of getting angry and upset, it's like you just almost have to laugh at the humor, the dark humor of all the setbacks. If you're not laughing, you'd be crying.
Yeah. Humor can be quite a powerful tool for trying to move forward through hard times, stuff like that. Okay, let me know one thing you wish our listeners knew about your business. What would that be?
One thing I wish you guys knew: we take all the stress off of your bartending planning, and that's what we pride ourselves on. You make the call, you message us, and we will work with you on, if you want as custom as you want, we'll do that, but there's no planning on your end. We show up, we open the window, and you are going to get that 10 out of 10 bartending experience that you didn't even know you wanted, because we're going to blow your socks off with what we have to offer, with the flavor, with the service. By the end of the night, you're getting a hug from me, you're getting a hug from my staff. We're going to say, thank you so much, congratulations, we love you, and we're going to message you, we're going to stay in touch. You're going to get that Newfie hospitality. Well, now we're friends. We're locked in, So really, you're getting a human experience with Dark Horse. There's nothing corporate about us. We are as small as it gets in terms of, we're a small business. We're just people trying to make this work. We've got families, we've got dogs, we've got pets, just like you guys. But we're really good at what we do when it comes to bartending, and we don't want you to feel stressed on your big day.
Where did the name Dark Horse come from?
So that was one of the hardest parts of this whole business, was coming up with the name.
Yeah.
And Dark Horse is actually, now that I have the name, I see it all over the place. There's Dark Horse Coffee. There's a Dark Horse mobile bar in Ottawa that I didn't even know about. So in my mind, though, when we were starting, I wasn't looking at all that stuff. I was just so honed in on what I had, that I had a black horse trailer. So I thought, a Dark Horse, and it had like an elegance, the name. I thought, if you're at a wedding, it would be cool enough sounding, or elegant enough sounding, that it would fit into a wedding scene. Dark Horse Tavern versus the prancing pony. I don't know. It just has an elegance about it that really stuck. And being a black horse trailer, it was just so suiting.
No, love the name, man. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely sure there's some people who are interested, want to reach out, learn a little bit more about what you guys are doing and how you can help them solve their problems. And so for those who are, what would be one of the best ways they can go ahead and reach you?
The best way to get a hold of us is through Instagram right now. We got a website. We're working on the website right now as well. But for now, Instagram, DM us. Check us out on Instagram. That was a huge, actually, for the business. We're building the brand. The social media was really important to us to make sure that, it's conveying what we have to offer. There is an elegance about the social media that we're doing too. We're trying to stay in touch with all the reels and the trending, all that stuff. We're really staying on top of it. But go on Instagram, check us out, message us through that. That's the number one way to get a hold of us.
Awesome stuff, man. Well, great conversation. Nice to finally get you on the show, be able to tell your story to everybody, and wishing you all the best in the future, man.
Amazing. Thanks for having me, man. This is great.
No worries, man. Anytime.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpwithjeffandsean.com. That's gnpwithjeffandsean.com or call 705-413-3775.